My sister out of the 25. So,
Actually, it was 26.
My sister.
yeah, they had my sister got one of those,
Diane.
like,
From.
wakeboards and TVs, surf, yeah. There's,
I got Diane.
There's as good as it seems.
but,
It's all
they've always
highway
done
stuff. It's as good as it seems.
Yeah, a couple miles
I think
down.
it is. I think they're gonna, it's their last day of law.
There, well, there was a.
I don't know where.
2007, so it's a newer body.
They allowed five
But,
days.
like Cadillac style. I
Did they confirm whether or not they're
But,
gonna pay?
I
was trying to run the guy down. I couldn't find him after.
100 and some hours on.
See what the plan is for us.
I'm going with a
Like, I
Monday.
think I'll wait.
They may start running, they allowed 5 days, so Friday next week should be a done deal.
So clear out around this week.
They're gonna open the highway up for one good day, let everybody home, then
That's
open
like
Monday, shut her back.
$2,000.
You know what, that'll just make it worse, man.
What should you guys replace?
They'll probably just leave it all.
They get the weekend to free reign, they have to- I'm actually pretty proud of
After a couple of guys, everybody just kind of just said, oh, and I guess we gotta put up like. If they only knew it wasn't anything we did, we're override by the state.
Let's go faster.
We said we're about 6:45, and I'm dialing. What is going on in our town? Well, guys out in the road. I tried to turn, so I even heard what I should do. I got hit, or like, what?
By this, the snow signage, no people. Like, the top mileage on it.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to go when
I
I
stay
say
screwed while I'm doing what I want.
He just bowls out and hopes he doesn't come.
Monday was the worst.
The worst and second day. Monday was the worst. I waited at the they said, let go Friday. That helps me. Monday, they wouldn't let you just cross.
I told my kids. Washington Speedway, I gotta go.
You're big.
You can stand up, you can wave all you want. I'm going right there.
Oh, it's rough.
And I go, there's nothing you can do to stop me.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, but coming home from Monday, I waited 35 minutes.
They got better after Monday must have, this must have been really good.
After Monday, that the pilot's going by a lot quicker now. They shortened up the zone. Yeah, they brought him into the subway instead of.
Oh, I got rid of the guy that kept getting all the hours. He was sitting there, you know, he's talking about.
No, my cousin bought a house down there.
Girl.
Needed fixed up.
Instead of turning his car around, it's
Like, I had a little neighborhood.
All righty, let's get started. I'd like to welcome all everybody for joining us tonight, first thing tonight, the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approve agenda.
To approve.
Second.
Ben? Yes. Okay, Josh,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Earl.
Yes.
Zach?
Everything's going good at the police department. The road construction is complicating things a little bit, but I think it's gone okay. I haven't really been here for the first couple of days of it, but I've got a few phone calls, but I think everything seems to be going pretty smoothly. We test for a new officer on August 5th, so I'm pleased with the pool of applicants that we received, so hopefully shortly after that, I'll be able to come back with a name. You guys can say yay or nay. That's all I got.
I didn't happen to see, but will you be on Sports Center announcing plans for next year?
No.
We're postponing that decision.
Yeah, we are postponing that.
Jeffrey.
I talked to Jeff, he said everything's going pretty good at the fire department as far as the fire side. And, they're looking at possibly burning the house they tore down on Washington, cemetery. maybe next week, so Phil is,
Somebody commented to me this week, I saw it, why is that not getting cleaned up?
yeah.
He told me he's hoping Tuesday or Wednesday, but
Yeah.
with the temps and everything, that might get delayed.
Yeah, it's-
It's sunny and 90 and 100, it might be wise to push it off. Good rain.
We talk about.
Good rain. Yeah, Vegas, but. Okay. All righty, Jen?
So I have a few things, because I feel like I haven't given an update for a while, sometimes in here or what, but, so we've still been receiving investor funds throughout the year, even though our investor drive started or ended in March. We've had 7 additional investors join, for 2023 since March, for a total of 62 businesses, so that's pretty good for this year. We had lots of good feedback on Hairy Nation days. We had several that, didn't care for that break in the afternoon, kind of had a little bit of lull. We did that based off of our survey from the year before, and maybe they changed their mind. So we're gonna try to work on closing that gap for next year. Working on getting an applicant for the challenge grant that's closed September 8th. Farmers market's still been going well. We have a special market this Saturday, and we're still adding new members to our committees. We've added 4 new members in the past 2 months, so we're still adding. So that's good. We're busy.
Welcome, John.
I won't get very long because I can feel in this room, there's a lot of angst. I want to get out of here. So first thing I want to tell you is everything I told you 6 months ago has come to fruition. We put over more than $4 million in investment money in here, most of it at 1%, some of it at 0%, for 3 or 4 major companies here. So everything went down just like I said it was going to. There's a big program now sponsored by Hy-Vee, started with Hy-Vee and Casey's getting together, called HBI Home Base Iowa. And maybe you've seen signs on some of the counties, little white signs that talk about it. It's an effort to get retired and discharged military people to come into Iowa to live. All right, these people have a lot of skills, they're disciplined, they know what they're doing. So the Iowa Department of Economic Advancement is up on that now, and also the Iowa Department of Labor. Our supervisors have already done proclamation. I've gone through the first 3 steps. I hope to get that done within the next no more than 6 months, okay? There's a new major business I'm talking to. I've got a meeting with them tomorrow. I'm talking bricks and mortar, hoping that that's going to work out. Have not got any assurances yet, but we're working on it. Educators in the workplace, that's where we bring the teachers in. We took them to M3, we took them to Metal Wholesale, and we took them to Nutrien, which I learned a lot of Nutrien. That's a lot more scientific than I thought it was. A lot computers that run the fertilizer machines and all that other stuff. But it was a very, very successful day, and Metal Wholesale fed them. I have people from Metal Wholesale and M3 both as board members on my board now, so it's a big help. Well, one of them is just off and one of them gone, but they both have served time on there. There's a new plant manager. You're probably aware of Performance Pipe, Scott Baird. He's been in our community before. He's worked out there before. Then they sent him somewhere else for training, and then he came back. Senator Grassley came in and toured M3 while he was there. His chief of staff came up to me and asked me to send her a copy of a letter that I'd sent to the governor, expressing my dissatisfaction with the meeting with the Iowa Department of Transportation on the 30th of May. And so I mailed her off a copy of that. I don't know what happened, but I'm Missouri senator just got them. I think it was on the news tonight, like $7 million for road improvement on Highway 63 through Macon, Missouri, I think. So whether she's thinking along those lines, I have no idea. All right. But, you know, you do basically what you can. She asked for a copy of the letter. We had a booth at the fair. You know, there's a lot of new faces in Davis County. A lot of people out there I didn't know. I was going to come here last Thursday, but I think the softball team was playing, if I'm not mistaken, anyway, the last time you had a meeting, so I decided to put it off one time. My real reason for being here tonight is I want to express public appreciation to Rusty Sands. We, as you know, Rotary, and I've run a parade for 20 years on the 4th of July. And the day before, I'm driving down the road and all of a sudden there's this great big truck parked right in the middle of where we line up. And it's crossways. It's where everybody in the parade has to go through and the road's blocked. The roads tore up on the other end. I looked at the truck. There was a key in ignition. I drove one of these suckers in the army. Thought, you know what? I can move this truck. And then I thought, but I better try something else first. So it was Monday, and as you know, half the county and half the people were not working. And there was nobody around. I went down to the police department. Rusty was there. I explained to him my problem, trying to run that over behind the grocery store and up a half a block and over to North Street and up when everybody's used to line up between the high school and the high school football field on down around that way and working the band in. It would have been a bigger headache than you could possibly imagine. It's kind of like herding cats with these people lined up anyway. That afternoon, I got a text from Rusty, said the truck will be moved later this afternoon. And it was a big deal, all right? Didn't have to do it. Time when you didn't have to be working, went ahead and did it for us anyway, and I thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was a bigger deal for me than you probably realize, okay? But anyway, we got it done. So that's it. Unless you got questions.
Good thing you were getting.
Thank you, John.
that morning.
Thanks for coming, John. Consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Jen,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Earl.
Yes. Discuss and decide on changing voting wards to be on ballot.
Okay, I went up and met with the auditor's office and we talked about a couple different things that we discussed last meeting that we were here. So it really doesn't make sense to keep the wards, but go 5 at large because you're still gonna have the same amount of money spent in election time and the same amount of work. So after discussing it with them, it's really probably one of 2 ways that you should consider. 1, leaving it as is with 3 wards, or 2, go to 1 precinct with 5 at large. If we change it from the 3 wards to 1 and just have it within city limits, obviously we would have to change the ordinance. But in the end, with the long run, I asked him, I had him explain to me what it takes for them to do an election. And they said, when we have 3 wards, we have to have more machines, more workers, and then they have to estimate the number of people that will vote within that ward. And it would save taxpayers money if we would go to 1, obviously, because then people can still vote at the fire station. It's 1 ballot for everybody within city limits that they would need. Plus, they wouldn't need as many people to work the stands and the machines and whatnot. So she said, even there's some legality behind it after they get the ballots as to, if there's something specific, a certain ward has to vote on per se, then you wouldn't need that. It would all be 1 ballot and everybody would go to that. A concern that we have is if we should change to 5 at large council members and 1 ward, it's recommended that we have town hall meetings or something to explain to the citizens that we're being transparent. We're not trying to slide something through and them not understand what we're trying to do. We're all in agreement. There's not a long list of, like a waiting list of people that are ready to join the council. Oftentimes, if Ward 1 is vacant, we're trying to recruit somebody that lives within those boundaries. So, but the thing that we talked about was if we don't have some sort of open communication with the citizens, then, we don't want them to be misinformed or not get all of the information and really understand why we would consider going to 1 ward with 5 at large. With the goal being that we would have more than a handful of people to choose from that might be interested in joining the council. So we would need to think about that, who would hold these trainings or meetings or open sessions to be able to discuss with the citizens, and how would we get the word out as to, if we put it on the ballot, here's what you're voting for and here's how it would work going forward. So the question is, 1, does the council want to make that decision or put it on the ballot, or do we want to leave it the way it is? And as those wards come available, try to recruit people within those boundaries to join the council.
I had one person very strongly object to making any changes,
Okay,
very strongly.
and did they give like suggestions?
They want their representative close to them.
Okay.
So, one thing,
Award.
okay, and that's totally, this is why we're bringing it up. One thing.
In theory, that's how you should get the best representation.
Correct. One thing that the county and I discussed was we in Bloomfield don't have like a certain set of minorities in a certain area of town or something like that. So with it being a small town, that was just one thing that we discussed was when someone on the, over on Madison, if they're representing somebody over on Franklin per se, it still is a pretty small town. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, that's why we would want to have the meetings to explain, should we do this or should we not do it? If we want to leave it up to a citizen vote or leave it as is. I mean, that's your guys' call, but we definitely, if we are to put it on the ballot to give people the opportunity within the town to decide, do you want to stay with 3 wards and 2 at large or not? We just want to make sure that everybody understands and is educated as to how it works now, how it would work if we change, maybe also give them the opportunity to express their opinions on both sides. We just don't want to put it on the ballot and people be like, I don't understand what this means and go in a circle. So I don't want that.
Comments?
So you don't have to put it on the ballot.
Nope.
So
Don't
there's
have to.
3 ways to do it. You can do it by ordinance and just do it. And if there's an objection to that, someone would petition to have it put on the ballot, and they would have to file a petition like any other petition. 2, you can by resolution say we're going to put it on the ballot, or the citizens can petition to have it on the ballot. So
Yeah.
you've got options to pick from if you do decide to do it. Do you want to do it by resolution and do that public vote, or do you want to do it by ordinance? And then if there are enough citizens that are excited about it in a negative way, they can petition to have it on a ballot.
It's interesting to note that about 6 months ago, someone talked to me about getting up a petition to make the change, and we were told at that time that we couldn't do it except every 7 years or whatever. And I relayed that to them, so they kind of let it go away, but they have not come forward this time. So I thought that was real interesting.
So there is a separate report that we do once every 10 years that we can just do it without giving them the opportunity to tell us that they don't want to. But we're not within that time frame. We already did that report last year. So now we have to decide, do we want to leave it as is? Do we want to give them the opportunity to tell us yes or no if they want to change? Or, I mean, you can leave it as is too, and then try to recruit people November or prior.
I'd kind of like to see like a town hall thing prior to get this thing out in the public, newspaper, social media, whatever. Let's get as much of this out to the people. This is what's being discussed. Show up on this date and time to get a feedback. I'd like to have something before November, because otherwise we're still running in wards during that election and then have to change it afterwards.
Yeah,
So-
and I guess one of the issues there is if you decided to do it by ordinance,
Mhm.
then we obviously have to publish the notice, have public hearing, 3 hearings, unless you
Right.
waive second and third.
Yeah.
It'd just be kind of nice to have some public opinion.
Yeah.
Before we make this decision.
Yeah, 'cause I
And
don't
if
know.
The public is for it, then great, we make that decision, we do it by resolution. And it's
Yeah.
before the election, and people can run accordingly. And then,
So
Well,
I
no,
actually,
You have to vote on it.
well, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
There'll still be the procedure, but at least we'd have some kind of information with the public ones.
right.
prior
If
to,
we
so-
do it by ordinance, they would have at least 2 opportunities to voice their concerns before we read it for the 3rd time.
Correct.
So wouldn't that be the?
I would propose we do the ordinance because Karen's gonna put an article in the paper. In these town
And we wanna-
halls that we've had, you either have one side show up or not the other side. I mean, I'm all about transparency and I'll go through the town hall thing if you guys want to go through the town hall thing, but you're gonna get about 5 people there. I mean, I think for the most part, nobody cares about this, to be honest, in my opinion. I could be totally off base, but I would prefer that we just do the ordinance and see if it causes an uproar, you know.
So the thing with the ballot is I do have to tell the county by August 10th. If we want something on the ballot, they need to know exactly what the wording's gonna be. So you have more time to do it. Yeah, you have more time to not put it on the ballot and do the three readings and let people come and voice their opinion than you do putting it on.
So what does it take if you get, I mean, how many people have to get a petition? I mean, it isn't just one. I mean, if I was on the against, I can't just say I'm against that and install it, right? I mean.
No, you cannot.
It's a percentage of people that
Probably.
voted in the last.
Yeah, it's-
Probably a good 100 people.
Percentage. I was trying to.
There's only about 300 votes, so 10% would only be about 30 people.
Calculator?
Right up to Casey's, and 30 people's gonna sign it.
The ordinance book?
I mean, I've seen those things.
Your time is. Yeah, sure enough.
Yeah, so you would have more time if you did the 3 readings and let people, and they can call us.
Oh, really? I
to
mean,
give
you
us their
guys are the
opinion.
council. Is there any interest in the 5 of you changing anything? Because if
If,
3 or 4 of you say, I don't really want to change anything, let's
Then-
move on. Let's
yeah.
leave it as is.
right,
We don't need to go through all this work, you know.
not if you don't want to, yeah.
So.
I'm for leaving it.
Are you making a motion?
Go ahead, raise your hand.
Are we gonna make a motion?
I make a motion.
No.
The way it is.
No, but I would just need a motion if they
If the
want
5
to
of you don't
discuss
really want to
changing
do
it.
it, why
Don't
don't
have
we
to
go
go
through
through it
the?
if we don't go and change it.
Yeah.
And you just need to start recruiting in whatever ward that,
Get a motion if we're not gonna change.
no.
I've had 2 people and the only 2 comments in my ward, leave it the way it is.
I've not heard a word, so. I'd have to say.
Okay, then we will go with that.
Let's move on then.
All right.
Okay, that was easy.
It was worth talking about.
Didn't cost us a dime, Mayor. Didn't cost us a dime.
Yeah, I know. Discuss and
It did
decide.
cost you a
It
little.
will in November and every year going forward, but
Discuss
We're
and
already working on recruiting.
decide on
good.
Hillcrest Garden Road installation in the IOOF cemetery.
Okay, so back in March of 22, in the cemetery board meeting minutes, it states that the city of Bloomfield will cover engineering costs and the foundation will cover the project of the road at $30,000. I cannot find anywhere in the city of Bloomfield meeting minutes that state that we are going to cover the engineering cost. So, the cemetery board is ready to move forward with the road and I can't find it, so I'm bringing it back up to you guys. Are we in favor of covering the engineering cost of this additional road, not the one that goes out to the highway that we've already done? They are asking us to cover the engineering cost. The engineer thinks it should be somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000. And they would cover the installation of the road around 30,000, which since March 22, I'm guessing it's a little bit more than that for them, but I just talked to Matt Walker today. So I wanted to bring it back to council because I can't find where anybody approves that prior.
Who paid for engineering on the road that's been installed?
City.
The city.
And we paid for the road too, didn't we?
No,
No,
The cemetery.
and
Cemetery
we
paid.
agreed to that in advance.
yeah. So they're
We
asking
agreed to
us.
what in advance?
Pay the 10 grand or whatever the engineering.
So they want the same deal as they had on the other road.
Right. And is the city willing to pay the engineering again and then pay to install the road? And I found where they told them at cemetery board we would, but I couldn't find it in our own meeting minutes. So I need to know.
I don't ever remember talking about.
Yeah. it's gotta become
All
part of
right.
it.
So is the city willing to pay for the engineering if they do the road themselves to the IOOF?
It's our cemetery.
Right. I mean, we could be building the road.
Are you familiar with what road we're talking about?
No.
The new section that has the pond in it and it goes out and around towards the whole thing is demolished. The road will go basically from the new road that we took out to the highway. I believe it will continue south and along the perimeter, the south perimeter of that cemetery and back out towards where that home is and demolished. And that
Be on the south side.
south side. So this will, because we're already at already at the point where all of the new cemetery is all being plotted and everything. So we will start selling spaces out there soon, but this is just in preparation to do that so that this becomes a finished product.
So we come back onto Washington Street.
Correct. It'll be a circle.
Yeah.
It'll be a circle where you go out, big on the highway to Washington, plus all the other roads within the cemetery.
Move to approve the city paying for the engineering on the, at a maximum of $10,000.
Okay.
I'll second.
Hillcrest Road.
I'll second.
Earl,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jennifer. Yes.
Live entertainment request for Stories and Strings grand opening.
Stories and Strings is opening next to Image Shapers, and they are going to have on August 5th a grand opening, and they're hoping to have a gentleman by the name of Curtis Vanderhart play some live music from 9 to 1 in the afternoon. So they would like your blessing as long as they stay under the noise ordinance levels to play some music.
Move to approve.
Second.
Jennifer? Yes. Josh?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Look, you skipped me.
You skipped the road closure.
How about approve a road closure for Fall Festival on September 23rd, 2023?
Which one?
That's Fall Festival.
From,
Matt,
you want the exact streets?
You can give us.
Okay, so South Madison from East Jefferson down to East Walnut, so Tequila Grill down to the Democrat. And then, East Franklin from South Madison to South Washington, so the south side.
So two sides of the square and then down by the, Can Redemption Center.
Yes.
Motion to approve that request.
Second. Okay, Jen? Yes. Josh?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Approve HPC's final design guidelines.
So those should have been emailed out to you. Chris also has a big packet if you'd like to look at it or have questions. Diana's here.
A lot of nice work done.
Yeah, a lot of work.
A lot of work.
Yeah, Earl's probably reported now and then about it, but,
They get paid $10 or more on that.
yeah, just a few, 75-page document roughly. Of course, it's not all text, so roughly it's not overwhelming to look it over, but, beautifully done. The architect that we work with, RDG out of Des Moines, was very, very professional, great to work with. It's been about a year in the making, and just want to thank you again on behalf of the commission, as well as the community members who care about, preserving what we have in the downtown district. So this is a document that would support the ordinance. The ordinance references design guidelines, which we never had. So, hey, this fills that need, and definitely here if you have any questions at all.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jen? Yes. Josh?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane.
Approve Class C retail alcohol license for Cobblestone Inn.
So moved.
Second.
Jen? Yes. Josh?
Yes.
Jake?
Yeah.
Earl?
No.
Dawn?
Yes.
Approve revised Exhibit A for the union scale wages.
Okay, I sent out a template. It looked like when the union contract came over for us to approve. At the top of the contract, it states a 2.25% raise, but when you actually do the math, it's off somewhere between 1 penny and 8 cents. So after I've done all of the raises for July of 23, of course, there's a new chart that shows what the current wage scale says and then what the corrected should be. So I need approval from council to correct it because it is off and fix everybody's wage somewhere between 1 penny per hour to about 8 cents was the highest one, I think. And then I also, just so you know, you would be approving the July of 24 wage because we don't want to have to come back next year and say, hey, this is off again. So we would be correcting the chart that's in there to actually be 2.25% raise, like it says at the top. And then we'll come back if you're interested and probably September, October-ish to talk about what July of 24 looks like.
I got a curiosity.
Yes.
Correcting it, what are the prior years? What about
So I'm not asking personally to go back to July of 2020. I did have a conversation with an email back and forth with, our union president and then the person that represents them. One, yeah, I'm sure it would be a lot of work, but two, they present us, it's my understanding, they presented us with the contract and the chart is for us to approve. So if it's
so
there.
it was originally, they provided the chart?
Mhm. So they usually provide, it's my understanding, they provide us with the contract and the chart after negotiations, and then you guys approve it, or the prior mayor and council would have approved it, and then we accept it is how.
So we're planning on moving forward here.
I'm talking about July 21st of 23.
We're not.
Because it had already been approved.
Right, right. And honestly, we did also come back in January 7th of 21 when we had combined our electric lead position. And that same chart is on there, which is still incorrect. And none of us, the union nor mayor pro tem and council at that time didn't catch it either. So it's been brought to my attention and I brought it up, but I'm looking to correct just July 23 forward.
The chart we want to correct was presented to you by the union.
Presented to the prior mayor and council. I wasn't here in part of that
We
negotiation.
authorize you to make the correction necessary to make that, as it should be.
I guess I've just got a question here.
Yeah.
Do we have enough members left for them to have a union?
So I had a conversation or an email conversation with the current union representative, and he stated that he would like for the council not to discuss the recertification process in an open meeting because we're only talking about the wages. When that negotiation comes available, then at that time, I would assume we would talk about the recertification. But it's my understanding that both the union and non-union members would vote on if they want to keep the union. So that's separate from that. And so we'll discuss it down the road. I am not personally sure how many we have in the union.
I don't think we have enough,
No.
so there's not, but anyway.
It's hard to do certified.
And he can request that we not talk about it, but that's too bad, you know? But anyway, that's just my question and we all know the answer. So anyway,
So I would like approval to correct the wages for the next, yes, I have a motion from Dawn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Jen. Josh,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Earl.
yes,
Your resolution setting a public hearing and bid dates for the proposed plans and specs, form of contract and estimate of cost for the WQI grant for the south sidewalk.
It's my understanding we're ready to go out for bid.
What's the date? For the over year.
That's August 17th.
There you go, council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jen,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Earl.
yes.
Approve and authorize the mayor to sign AIA number 9 for CDBG facade grant 20 CVN 035.
So these next four are gonna be the change orders and the final amounts that are coming through on the facade grant. And then Tammy will give you an update as to how much longer we have until they're done.
That's not the impression they were done. That's.
Not quite.
That's
No,
cheap.
Not quite. Well, and we are, I mean, they've done a lot of this work. That's why they're billing us finally for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jen,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Earl.
Yes.
I'm gonna do these lump them, approve and authorize the mayor to sign AIA number 10, number 11, and number 12 for CDBG facade grant 20 CBN 035.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jen,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Earl.
Yes.
Discuss and decide on replacement plan for Washington Franklin traffic light.
So we've got to, obviously we have issues with the range with the traffic lights on Square. We went out for bids to see what it was going to cost us to get that specific one down. The other two are talking. We've got one bid back so far. It's going to be roughly $25,000 to rewire the Washington Franklin Street traffic light. And that's also, there's also a loophole, I guess, that says that that's not considering if there's any conduits busted up from around that we have to rebore. And we're getting ready to have, the highway's going to be in before this can happen. So obviously I'm not going to tear up the new highway, so we'll have to pour it in. But anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. We're just hoping to get another bid. We have received.
So the problem is with the wires, it's not that physical light that I see.
It's not the light, and it could be the wires up in the poles could be part of the issue, but they just all need to be
What is
removed.
that bid from?
It's called Dave Decine Electric. They're out of Burlington. They actually had the bid. I found one in the folder. They had a bid from them back in 2020. Basically the exact same bid. It went up $2,000. So it's to do that.
When does the bidding start?
We just called and said, could you send us out
Oh,
a quote or a bid? Yeah.
Because of the
Another
amount
person
we,
or-
because of the amount we don't have
Person
to
we're
fill
calling
out for it.
It's been 3 weeks. We haven't got anything back. So this is the one we have here. So I guess looking for directions.
Well, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, they only went up 2,000. That isn't too bad, I guess. I don't know, could have been 50 grand.
Yeah.
You know, some of these guys out there with a temporary stop sign for cheaper than that.
Just put in a roundabout.
As long as they don't flash when it missed.
Can you just do that by painting circles?
We do need a roundabout where the highway meets highway 2. I think that would be very beneficial, but that's another day.
So can we just make a motion to accept that bid,
Yes.
and move on?
Yes.
I make a motion to
Discuss and
accept that bid
decide.
for that traffic light. At the intersection of Franklin and South Washington, whatever.
Second,
Whatever.
Jen,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Did that company, tell you like if they was to get the bid, or is it 6 months out?
So they said they would
A
put us
year?
on it, hurry up. They thought a couple of weeks. They'd
Oh,
be-
okay.
Davis had it here before. They're the ones that we called just this week. We just where we could program the lights to do. They had it the program for the flashing yellow and red from 11 at night to 7 in the morning, but we always just turn them to all flashing red like a Halloween deal. So we've learned a lot.
I can't wait till we put some. Can't wait till the day they show up to work and everybody asks me what's going on out there in that intersection.
After rain, you gotta get rain first, chief.
Public comments, Mr. Piper, you have the floor.
Spur of the moment, I got 2 issues I'm asking the council for help for. We can't vote on it tonight, I heard, but we can think about it till next meeting. We're moving a lot of dirt out what was known as the Pony Farm. City owns between the state right of way and our property. It's a gulch at what was an abandoned road there. When I bought it 40 or 50 years ago, the road went east before South Fork was there, and it went to the South Cemetery and on to Pulaski. Anyway, I'd like the city to give us land so I can fill the ditch in. It's 12 to 15 foot deep, and it's old drive out there, go past Earl's house, or come in at Hog's Flat. It's just an abandoned road with a gulch there, and while we're moving all this dirt, I'd like to fill it in and make it look better. The other issue that I've got is we had permission to do anything on state property that we wanted. The cable that goes for the law enforcement runs, there's a hill right on the very corner of state property. And it goes up the hill and down the hill, 4 foot deep. Well, but it's all the communications for the state of Iowa are in that cable for the law enforcement. And if something were to happen to it, it'd be a major mess. So we had 2 people going to come down, Gary Knapp and his brother and some others. We're going to pull back the dirt, then move it over and reset it. Well, today we're getting ready to move the corner. If you take the time in the next few days to drive out there, there's a hump right on the very corner where people put campaign signs on the corner. Well, all of that lot out there will be the same level as Highway 2. I mean, they're moving 20, 30 foot of dirt down. But here's going to be this goose egg sticking up on the corner. And past times that I've asked the state of Iowa to get on their property and move dirt, it's a long drawn out deal. But if you tell them it's for beautification, it speeds the process up. I would like a letter from the council saying that it would enhance the entrance to Bloomfield, but not have this weedy goose egg on the corner. If you would drive out there and look, it's just a weedy goose egg.
Is that on the east side, east corner?
It's right across from Dollar General.
It's west side of the way down.
Well, I'm talking about the east side of
That
the
long
property.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can't mow it.
You'll see.
It's like this.
It's a pretty good size, isn't it?
We're spending some serious money flattening that hill. And it, you know, it will be nice. It's ground level and be well kept, and something will happen there.
So Bruce, thanks for coming and thanks for speaking, but it sounds like you have 2 agenda items for the next meeting.
I do. Think about it.
And by moving the dirt down into the gulch or whatever won't impede the flow of water.
Not at all.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you. All right, moving along. Thank you, Bruce. And, Tommy Joe.
The only thing I have tonight is let you know that the auditor is coming Tuesday, Wednesday next week to start our audit from the year that just ended. Yes, don't forget to put it for Monday end of.
Well, they want to ask me this, their question too. Is that?
I'm sure they will, every year,
All right.
but it's coming already. That's quick. Yeah.
All righty, Rusty, Tommy Joe.
Real quick, the Howard Street culvert is same as done. You guys got to wire up put the power poles back up. And then I think Leopard just got pretty much the seeding to do on that one. We do have a little bit of a hit or a deal like on the corner there of Howard, at the intersection of Howard and Jefferson. There was one patch of asphalt that was left untouched. And we'd like to add that. We'd like to add that to the project, or I guess I'd like your permission to fix that one patch. There's a corner of it there. I had Spring Furniture tell me what it would cost. If we add to that project, it was $7,000. I think we can do it for less than half that if our guys do it. So it's just a matter of that. And then also with the Howard Street, I'd like your permission to, I guess, pursue bids for those 2 streets. We did have those 2 streets of Howard, 2 blocks. They was on the last street project and we pulled them because we knew we had to do the culvert. So it's my understanding, if we're correct, Tommy Joe and I visited and tell us if we're wrong, that we'll be able to use that engineering fee because the cost is going to be in the $45,000 range to do those 2 blocks of asphalt.
You asked that Norris?
That was from the bid we had. Actually, we got a quote from another company. So I didn't know about the Norris thing. So we did have it on the previous street project. Those 2 blocks were there. The concern is we'd have to go get engineering done on those 2 blocks. But since it was on that past one, that be allowed to be used as engineering? And not have to re-engineer those two blocks if we want to get bids. I'm gonna meet with Norris and Long. They're gonna give us a quote on what they would charge if but they won't use the crew that's gonna be here.
They won't stay in town to do it.
No, they've got to bring a whole different crew and a whole different set of tools, I guess, or machines. So didn't know.
I would think that an engineer would be good.
Okay, that was my concern, that I don't know, heck, we're above that amount, we've got to engineer it, and that's gonna take a month, and I was hoping to get it done before school starts.
French Runner's already engineered.
Yep.
In
So
a
they've already
previous thing.
engineered it. I think the only thing, in my opinion, we'll have to do is get, since it's under the limit to go out to bid, but still get 2 or 3 quotes to bring back and have you approve at the next meeting.
I just wondered if that's really okay on that. I had, Mr. Hamilton from the hospital called, and they're gonna be redoing the parking right along Madison Street there on the east side of their building in the hospital where they parked the MRI trailer. They're gonna have that all torn out, and he just wanted me to ask that, he said there's a chance that while we have that parking all tore out, if the MRI trailer is necessary for a day or half a day, whatever, that's the only place they have to park it. They would have to park it in the street. And would he be allowed to block that street for a small amount of time to run some x-rays, given the situation? So I said, you know, have you got another route for your ambulance? And he said, yeah, they could come in from the west side, no problem. And I said, I'm sure you wouldn't have a problem with it, but I wanted to ask.
I spoke to him today and he brought up the same issue.
Okay.
He told me the likelihood of that happening is very minute,
Slim.
but he said that it is still a possibility because it isn't an emergency situation sometimes, that it could very well. I told him basically if he had any kind of knowledge that it's going to happen, to call you so that we could get law enforcement out there to put barricades and stuff. So that within the level road, that we would want some kind of barricades out there to.
Within minutes, we could have barricades at Good Street and.
Yeah, you want me to make sure that, that the likelihood of that happening is nil to none. But just in case, there's never a zero in that equation.
Right.
When that might be.
He said next week they'll be working on they're gonna do an apron on the gravel parking lot, so they're thinking the first week of August is when their target time is.
It would be up 2 weeks.
But everybody's attention's on the highway right now, so nobody will notice that if they.
Although we're all going down that road.
You can go around the highway project, and they'll be mad about that.
I
So,
when I come in.
For food for thought, sake of knowing, so the highway project obviously has been a little bit of a headache. Wish I could change it, but I can't. But I believe they will be finished with the milling today. They allowed 4 days, and that's the end of today. They allow 5 days for the asphalt overlay, and it is supposed to start tomorrow, provided they finish their milling today. So worst case scenario, they start on Monday. They're allowing 5 days for that, so hopefully they'll stick to their guns. Friday next week we'll be done with that. At which time they thought they'd be away for a week, and they come back in. They've got font intakes to fix lids on, so they'll just be a 1-lane closure as they fix those. We should be back to at least 3 lanes of traffic. Then they'll come back in and start fixing curbs and sidewalks, so that should still, we have a ton of hope that we'll keep the middle 2 lanes open all the time. They would only have to have the outside lanes to work on the sidewalks as they do that through time. So they don't have a time. We're gonna meet with them on Monday next week, pre-con meeting for the sidewalk project. So we'll do the best between Tammy putting it on there, and we'll give Karen something to put on the TV there, as far as let people know, so they, maybe they won't be as mad. You know, they can come in the back door at Chris's still, use the alley.
I make a motion that we never use the word 3-lane again. 1, 2, or 4. That's the only thing we're talking about.
The milling is done. They loaded it up in front of my house today. It's gone.
They've been
Oh,
taking
okay.
that. Have we been taking that? Where are they taking?
They took it, all the good milling stuff that went with the machine, they take it back to their plant, they reuse it, they put it back in there.
So it didn't.
We got a little bit, we got a little bit of the rougher stuff, but they reuse it.
Okay.
I didn't think they would reuse it all because of the 2 bridges being out, you know, with that issue going to someone, they might not like that long time and use us some anyway. We sent one, we did interview a young man for the water position. We'll be, a couple of them actually, but we'll be, probably giving him a call tomorrow and hopefully getting him on board. Cole We'll be taking the test to get a grade 2 license, so we'll be good there. We did talk with the DNR. We've got a compliance plan for, we can use him for the next 6 months until he gets to grade 2. So that's all working good. So I think that's pretty much what I got.
Update them on the zoning request.
What's that? Oh, yes, on the zoning request. So we did have a gentleman come to us on the East Jefferson car wash. So we had a zoning meeting on Tuesday, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? And he requested a variance because they want to turn the car wash on Jefferson into an apartment building. And it wouldn't have the proper side yard area or the proper front yard. So they granted. Pardon?
Yes.
Yeah. So the zoning board did grant his request for those 2 variances, so he could move forward with that, as long as the council doesn't have any.
And the neighbor.
And, oh yeah, they did it with the exception that Mr. Davis has to say he's okay with it, because we're not gonna. The building will come right to the property line on the east side. Orders, I think, Mike Davis there.
When he did that,
I'm sure ASAP. I'm sure he won't waste time. He's looking to move forward with it. It's my understanding you guys have the power to, as a council.
Is that gonna be demolished or is it?
No, he's gonna build a second story on top of that existing structure. Really? And get the inside, make an apartment house out of it.
That blows my mind. I'm glad. Just ask him how on earth was,
Yeah. I
Not sure, but we're anxious to see.
asked the same question, so.
that'll be entertaining to watch.
You're probably gonna know that someday.
Nope. I don't hear, you know that. Hey.
Oh, thank you.
So if you need anything from the council on that.
Am I correct in saying that? Do you guys have the right to basically veto, like the idea? I thought zoning board trumped you guys in a situation like that. They said no. So I'm asking you guys to.
I thought the zoning board trumped.
I thought they just.
Yeah.
I think you're fine to proceed.
Wrong way. Other way.
Oh, you were.
There we go.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's.
Saving it.
All right. Tammy, you're up.
Okay, I have a few things tonight. An update on the facades. We're getting close. There's a door to be installed at Image Shapers, which has been approved. But we are waiting to see what the quote's going to be on it and make sure it aligns with the rest of what she has left on her grant. And if that happens, it will be completed the week of August 14th. B demo should be completed this week. They were there installing the last of the windows, so that should be done tomorrow. Wells is completed. Blackboard printing, signed the change order, and that work should be completed the first week of August. So we're that close with the facade. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is this is a project that I've been working on a little over a year, partnered with Southern Iowa Electric and Indian Hills. What the goal of this was and is to start trades programs that can be housed here in Davis County. And for many different reasons, for a pipeline, for different occupations, bringing skilled workers into this area to train them. Hopefully some of them will stay. Basically, it's a regional type of initiative that we've done. So what we did is we start off and we were headed one way and ended up going to another direction. We went in January of this year, we went to Indianola to the Missouri, Moore Valley Line contractors. And they have a beautiful $50 million facility. It's state of the art. So we kind of changed directions with them actually handling the apprenticeship portion of it. So what we're going to do is a quality pre-apprenticeship. What that does is allows anybody 18 years and older to come into the program, take the initial courses to see if they're going to pass those, to be able to get into an apprenticeship and see if it's something they're going to like. This is a 12-week program. But even if they decide they don't want to do it, they would still come out of that 12-week program with electrical power line installers and repairers certificate, a heavy and tractor, trailer, truck driver, they'll have a CDL basically, and flagging and traffic control. So even in that 12 weeks, they'll still have usable skills to go into a different occupation if they wish. Then, so they will take, and pass CDL, adult first aid, CPR, OSHA 10 hour, climbing 101, believe it or not, that's a big deal. They have to make sure they can climb, before they go into it, and then flagger certification, traffic control. From there, they go into a non-registered apprenticeship. And the reason it's a non-registered apprenticeship is because the state, apprenticeship agency is not functional at this time. They will be, they're currently working on it. Once they become functional, this become a registered, apprenticeship. And again, they will come through with, those occupations that I talked about. This is a 1-year program. And during that 1 year, they will take courses, principles of electricity, CPR, first aid safety, another CDL, transformer theory, technical math, electric utility, introduction to electric utility pipelines, or I'm sorry, principles and AMP practice, interpret UT maps and drawings, and 144 line maintenance. They'll come 1 day a month to classroom sessions out at Southern Iowa Electric with an adjunct professor. 2 weeks classroom hands-on training at the new state-of-the-art Missouri Valley Line Contractors apprenticeship and training facility in Indianola, Iowa. After they complete that training, they would then go on into the apprenticeship. Working with Iowa, so now Iowa Works is underneath Iowa, underneath Workforce Development. And so there is a way to fund all of this through that program. The acronym's WOIA. It's an act that is out there that will basically fund these folks, low-income folks, to go through these programs at no cost to them, until they get to the apprentice, which they have to then apply for grants and scholarships. But again, there's a ton of money out there for those folks. But it allows us to have a pipeline. Not that the city itself has a need or a big, huge need, but having training facilities here in town is kind of a big deal. And what we want to do from there is segue into other trades and seeing what we can do. So I did send this to you guys. There's a work process schedule suggested on the line, on the job learning outline. And so what we're doing for the that's Work Innovation Opportunity Act, is the WIOA is what it is, that the funding comes through. And then there's also Earn As You Learn. The estimated, while they're in the apprentice program, is $18 to $20 an hour. So it's not like it's, you know, a low income job. It's, you know, they're paying nice salaries as they go through it. So we just found out this week too, that IAMU, we had to submit this program to them, and they are very interested in partnering with us. So that is a wonderful asset to have. And there are currently 13 municipalities and co-ops that are partnering with us that are going to take those apprentices, because it has to be 1 journeyman to apprentice ratio. So we have, right now we have 13 facilities between city municipalities and co-ops in the associated electric mapping that are willing to take these apprentices on. And we're thinking 10 to 12 apprentices for our first year. So this is a project I kind of discussed with some of you, but we kind of kept it under wraps because we were trying to figure out all the processes and how we were going to do it. And we hope to move on with this project for continuing ed hours for our guys and other people as well. So there's different streams of revenue coming in from different areas, whether it be, you know, from the students themselves or from continuing ed hours for other people. And then we'll work on the next trade. And what we're doing is focusing on trades that are not in the area. So we're not looking to do a building and trades in Bloomfield because they have it in Van Buren and they have it in Centerville. We're going to look at HVAC. We're going to look at continuing with a journeyman, not the lineman, but just a journeyman electrician. Those types of trades where, 6-7 hours for them to go away when we can house it and do it in-house here in Davis County and start really focusing on those trades. So this has been a long process. like I said, it's a little bit over a year and working on this pretty much continuously, but I'm pretty proud of the final product. So I wanted to let you know that this is what we have available. The only other update I want to give you is on the Poverty, Food Insecurity Task Force. We have come up with a social media presence and printed materials for resources. What we've come up with is finding out where we have gaps, and we put that all together. And we're addressing how to take care of those gaps. And I had a meeting with the school with Danny Roberts today. The school has a great new software program that can be an app called Premier. And we're willing to work with us on that, where basically parents or the students can go in and they can click on a button that says utility bill help. And it'll take them right to a link for them to be able to fill out the paperwork for them to have, or food resources, and it'll take them right to the food bank or to any of the pantries or whatever. So they'll be able to see a consolidated listing of everything that they have. So any of those resources, housing, any of those resources will be on an app that parents will have through the school. We're working with the hospital, change some of their questions that they ask when they take a patient in, so we can find out if there's food insecurity or if they're having to decide whether they pay for meds or whether they pay for food that month. So we're working with the hospital on how they're asking those questions and what kind of questions they can ask, so we can start identifying and moving resources to those people. So the task force has been very busy in getting all of these things put together and finding other partners to be able to work with to provide all the services that we can. So I will not be here the next city council meeting. I will be in Sioux City at the Main Street Iowa Downtown Conference. So just so you know that. If there's any questions? And you do have this in your packets, I believe.
Thank you, Tammy. Council update.
I'd like to just say, for John, the letter that you're requesting, can you put that on the next agenda? So we can actually vote, the letter you're wanting with the city backs the Iowa workforce thing.
Oh, for the homes.
Yeah, you have.
Home-based Iowa is what you're
Home-based
asking.
Iowa, you're right.
Yeah, well, I think I only need one certification, and I got it from the whole county. But I probably will get back to Steve, because one of the next steps is to put some kind of a package together. So if someone decides to come here, do you still have, at one time, did you have a program where somebody moved here, you'd give them money for taxes or tax abatement for a year or something along that line? Is that still in existence, or is that gone?
So you talked about the $10,000.
No.
Whatever, yeah, that would be fine, that'd be great, but I'm just, whatever you had an incentive to try to get people to come here at one time.
We have not funded that in the last couple of years.
Okay, so that's gone. Is there anything,
The only tax abatement that's out there is if it's a business, and then we would need to create a development
yeah,
agreement.
that's.
Go through all those steps.
I've used that, we use that with the True Value Store, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
I think that you needed a letter from the council of support from the program. I was going to say, I've worked with Home-Based Iowa with my business that I have. It's an incredible program, and it works with veterans and so forth. And, I think it'd be a good thing for us to support. That doesn't really cost us anything, but it definitely helps out.
They want me to put together some kind of incentive package, so I will tell you that, and I don't have all the specifics on that yet, so I didn't bring it up.
I would say, if you
Well,
need it,
we'll
put it on the
probably
agenda so we
okay.
can vote on it. And-
Yeah.
How about a couple burgers or fries?
Yeah, keep going.
I can throw a couple.
Well, I was gonna say, if we get them out of South Fork or somewhere.
I'll provide the transportation.
Can we get the letter,
Right.
can we get the letter that Bruce requested on our next agenda?
Well, Bruce was going to ask for two things.
Yeah, I have it
That's
down.
up to Bruce. to
Yeah.
do, so-
Yeah, I
And
let
trust me,
him
he'll do it.
know.
Yeah. Any other council update?
I'd like to wish Tammy a happy birthday today.
Yeah, yeah.
25.
Don't look a day older.
Today.
Shall we stand?
Are you saying I'm not 25?
Any other council update? All right, mayor comments. Congratulations, Zach. 2 fine years in a row. So hopefully you're back, but we'll see. And then I would also publicly like to wish the 11-year-old Little League team that's going to be competing in the state tournament, which I saw was 15 to 20 years since the Little Leagues. And I think we know the boys that went there the last time and they did good, so.
I don't know about the picture that they have.
Centerville. So if you're not doing anything over the weekend, they play a lot of games in Centerville. They play a lot of games in Centerville. That's not too far, so maybe take a game in and support our local boys. So other than that, that's all I got.
You should put a GoFundMe thing on her site to help pay for the sodas and stuff.
We're trying to put together meals for them for the week because they literally have 1 to 2 games every single day, starting tomorrow. So pretty strenuous thing.
That's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.